Hi, Kerry Phipps here, connecting with confidence. And today we're connecting with Julie Woods as we continue this series about adapting to extraordinary change, which is the subtitle of Julie's first book, How to Make a Silver Lining. Welcome back, Julie.
Thank you, Kerry.
I'm so enjoying this series, and there are so many insights in what you've shared already, and I'm so excited about today. Key number 5. Do you want to take over from here and tell us all about that key?
Key number 5, find your own solutions. When I went blind, I had lots of problems, so I had to come up with lots of solutions. Sometimes those solutions could be as simple as a rubber band.
Yeah.
A rubber band would help me tell the difference between shampoo and conditioner. So if the rubber band was on the conditioner, I knew the one that didn't have the rubber band on it was the shampoo. And that was just one simple way of creating a solution. Sometimes the solution would be a bit more complicated and it would require 2 rubber bands. So if I had a bottle of Riesling in my fridge and a bottle of Chardonnay, I would put a rubber band around the Chardonnay so I would tell it apart from the Riesling. But if I had another type of wine like Sauvignon Blanc, then I would need to put 2 rubber bands around that so I could tell the difference between the Chardonnay and the Riesling.
And I guess we're talking New Zealand wines there, Julie.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, they were white ones, weren't they?
Yeah, New Zealand is famous for wine, just in case anyone doesn't know that. So nice you can differentiate.
I didn't get to the Aussie Reds.
Right, okay.
No.
But I'm sure you would have extra rubber bands or something else to help you.
Actually, just on that, Kerry, sometimes the shape of the bottle can be an indicator.
Yep.
For a red bottle is often a different shape to a white bottle. Not always, but that is one indicator as well. So, solutions come in lots of forms, and it's just about taking notice. And in the beginning, when I couldn't see, I had to learn how to do things in different ways. Smell, hear, taste, and touch. And for the likes of the wine, my solution would come through my sense of touch and telling the difference, either using the rubber band or the shape of the bottle.
And I guess a bit of a taste test every now and then too.
Quite right, yes. That's called blind tasting.
Yeah. Well, we've all had a go at that in some form. So, that's really interesting, because often it is just little practical things that make a difference, isn't it?
It is. It can be as simple as a rubber band. That's right. You're right. But sometimes it does take more, and sometimes you do need to learn a new skill so that you have a solution for your problem.
Yeah. So what were some of the bigger things?
I'm thinking about reading, I guess, was some of the bigger things. So if we looked at the first way I read after I went blind was through my ears. So I would listen to talking books. I had to learn how to use the talking book machine and operate that and work out the process of getting talking books that in the old days, 23 years ago when I went blind, came by way of a cassette tape through the mail. Wow. They were systems I had to learn to be able to read with my ears, getting the tape cassette, putting it in the player, learning how to operate the player and then playing it.
Yeah. And nowadays, I guess not so many audiobooks back then.
No, that's right. But now, Kerry, of course, audiobooks have changed, and my talking book machine is my iPhone.
Wow, that's cool.
So I had to learn how to use an iPhone with VoiceOver on it and download apps and listen to talking books using my iPhone. So my solutions in that case they progressed, really. They changed from the different formats, the cassette tape to the CD to the downloadable audio file.
Yeah. And there's the power of other people finding solutions too, because how much has technology changed even in the last 10 years that would have significantly impacted your solutions? Other people have been finding solutions and you've been finding solutions and upskilling and learning.
Well, I say it's a great time to be blind. I mean, with technology available for blind people, it's creating a huge amount of solutions. So the important questions to say why not to are the ones for me that relate to technology and upskilling and constantly learning, how to touch type or how to learn to use your iPhone, how to learn to use Zoom. It's a never changing landscape, and you have to constantly be keeping up with it to find those solutions.
Yeah. So when there is that sense of, having to constantly keep up, how do you move from overwhelm to, I guess, you move into curiosity, or you move into this decision that helps you move forward rather than, the overwhelm that I think so many people would relate to?
I know that the overwhelm disappears as soon as I take action.
That's powerful.
So if I can get clear on what kind of action to take, that's the challenge. What is it?
Yeah.
And unless I'm clear, I can't take action.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting clear is about having conversations with people. In the case of an iPhone, it would be talking with other blind people, having a conversation with my adaptive technologist, asking what kind of iPhone they used or how accessible were they, which was a better one, was it an Android okay? So gathering lots of information, Kerry, then to be able to make a decision, to get clear on what you wanted to do, and then to take action.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we first connected, as we discussed in a previous episode, about how we connected through coaching, and we're talking about how I was coaching you and helping you find your own solutions. But you've also been coaching people since, 2007 or?
Yes, 2000, yes, yep.
And so you've been helping your clients also to find their own solutions. So what are some of the questions that you've asked that have unlocked insight for your clients?
What would it look like if you had a solution?
Yeah.
What would the impact on your life be? What would it feel like if you could do this?
Yeah.
How great would it feel to conquer this?
Yeah. They're great questions that can stop you in your tracks for a moment, but then as you pause and consider, which I think we need that time, don't we, to pause and consider things to find our own solutions. Sometimes we want to just get it quickly or see it quickly, but sometimes it takes that reflection, doesn't it?
That's right. And I think it's about focusing on the gain and not the pain, because I think we often get stuck in the pain of how hard it's going to be to create the solution, or how hard it's going to be to learn something, or that's going to take too long, as you say. It's around patience.
Yeah.
And exploring the options. So thinking about that end point, I think, is really important.
Yeah. So, and you just mentioned patience then, and I was also thinking about your curiosity. So has that developed, or do you think you've always been curious? Have you always been patient? Just pick one and tell us about it.
You'd have to ask my ex-husband. Or you could
Okay.
ask my current husband. I think I've always been relatively patient. I'm not sure about that, actually. Okay, I've developed patience, and I've developed curiosity as well. Yes, I have. Yeah, I remember back to my university degree, Kerry, and oh God, it just seemed so dry and dull. And I think, to me, the turning theory into action is when things come to life for me.
Yeah.
So theory doesn't always make me curious, but applying it does. And that's why I fell in love with Braille, because it was taking the theory of Braille and then applying it to my own life by the way of writing labels and putting them on CDs or my baking containers, and doing those kind of things that really made it come to life.
Oh, Julie, you've just taken me back to a very precious memory. Do you remember what you posted me, probably in 2008?
Was it Braille Biscuits?
Yeah, you sent me this big parcel, which customs did go through because it was a little bit jumbled from your description to what was actually in front of us, but there were Braille biscuits that you cooked and a card that you wrote in Braille that we had to get curious about and figure out, what does this say? But in the meantime, having a husband and son who was probably 8 or 9 at the time, some of the biscuits were sampled before we
Worked out the message.
decoded the message that said, these biscuits say what you do to me. And then we put together the remaining biscuits and realised that that they spelt out the word. Do you remember?
Inspire?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Nice.
It was so beautiful. So you you led us to be curious too about
and those biscuits came about because I asked myself the question when we had a Braille tea party when I worked at the Blind Foundation here in New Zealand, and I had to say to myself, what do you have for afternoon tea at a Braille tea party? And the answer I gave to myself was Braille biscuits, of course. So my solution to that was to find one of the volunteer Braille transcribers who was also a very proficient baker.
Oh, cool.
And put those two things together, and she created the first batch of Braille biscuits.
Oh, that's fantastic. So for anyone who's wondering, if you can picture Braille, then you can picture, rectangle biscuits, like shortbread, I guess, and
with
like dominoes, with the dots.
Yeah, with dots, with either icing or lolly dots, but let's say a white icing dot on a brown biscuit so that there was colour contrast for the sighted person. You sighted people. And on each letter was a Braille letter, which is made up of one of 6 dots. So the letter would be made up of one of 6 icing dots.
Yes.
So the letter K, which has 2 dots on it, would have the 2 icing dots on the left-hand side.
Yeah. So ours were actually chopped chip. They were
they?
Yeah, they were traditional, what do you call it, yellow, plain coloured biscuits.
Chocolate.
With
no,
chocolate.
Shortbread, sorry.
Shortbread, yeah, so regular shortbread looking biscuits with chocolate dots, which was an absolute hit, I tell you. I'm glad that we figured it out before we ate them all.
Even blind people have to worry about what it's like for a sighted person's experience. So we're aware that you use your eyes to distinguish contrast, whereas we would use touch.
Yeah.
So it was important to have the colour contrast between the chocolate dot and the biscuit.
Yeah, that was very gracious of you. Thank you. And it also
we do what we can.
Yeah, and you inspired me to come up with new solutions. I wanted to send you a card, as I send lots of clients. And I thought, well, okay, obviously someone can read it to you, but how do I make it more, more of an experience for you? So I sent you the fluffiest, most textured card I've ever created for anyone. There may have been some pom-poms.
I thought they were cotton wool balls.
No, they were actual little pom-poms from Spotlight. So and then you did create a Braille card for my clients at an organisation here in Dubbo that had a blind student in the class, and so that was really beautiful too, to have you send me a card from your Braille machine, because I don't have one handy. So and you do that, don't you? That's a solution that you do. You create people's names in Braille as part of one of your goals.
That's right. I've got a dream to write 1 million names in Braille. And I'm just thinking, when I'm hearing you talk, Kerry, that when you're blind, we have problems galore.
Yeah.
Daily problems, hourly problems every minute. We can face so many problems. So we have to focus on the solution and what we can do. And that's what, as blind people, we get very proficient at. And
Yeah.
as to other people too. It's not just for the blind, but that's
Yeah.
what finding your own solutions was all about for me when I went blind.
Yeah, and I guess, we've been connecting about this and talking about adapting to extraordinary change because the world is going through a period of extraordinary change right now. And we are looking for new solutions. And for a lot of people, there's solutions around, going online, becoming more proficient online, which is something that you did, getting better at using technology. Maybe it's different options in terms of shopping. And we actually grew some veggies on the weekend. Well, we didn't just
Yeah.
grow them. We didn't grow them on the weekend, but we started that process, because I think it'd be nice to just hop out the back and pull some veggies out and put them in dinner. But there are all kinds of challenges that we're faced with every day, whether we're in a period of significant change or not. But that's where we become aware of that moment of, do I just sit in the overwhelm or do I start taking action? And I thought that was really powerful how you said, when you start taking action, you start moving forward, then that overwhelm drops away and your curiosity can take over. You're being patient with yourself, which is fantastic. And you're retaining your sense of humor, which is our next episode. So, I've already had a laugh today. Let's come back and talk about your key number 6, which is laugh at yourself. So thank you so much for sharing this today, Julie.